Hi, welcome back to Tower of Fantasy. With 1.5 came a bunch of activities, one of them being, of course, raids. Now, raids can be a little daunting, especially for new players, so here is why this video exists. Essentially, we're going to be going over how the hell you can start the raid, what are the requirements to even participate, and what you should mainly be doing. Spoiler alert, just don't die. Just don't die, please, for the love of God, don't die. Be careful, be really conservative, and ideally play to a roll. But we'll get into all that within a minute. But alas, what are the requirements to be even eligible to participate in the raid? Well, it's simple. You just need to be level 60, and hopefully, this is just an additive thing, higher CS, the better. Even around the same CS is nice. 10,000 less than what it's required is rough. It's really rough. You can still do it. You can still get it done every week. You just gotta flip the coin a lot and hopefully have invested in some healing weapons so that you can be a value to your team. And even then, it's okay. We'll all get there eventually. Just make sure to pay it forward in the future. If you ever see someone who you're carrying, don't be a bastard about it. You know what I mean? How do you start it? It's in the activity page. Just go here, hit activate raid. You can just join one that's in progress. It's pretty simple. And yeah, you just say find team. It will find one for you and you'll shoot you into that encounter. If you're lower CS, get used to this being thrown into a raid because very quickly you'll find out if this is going to go well or not, either indicative of everyone bull rushing the enemy, dying immediately, or the health bar not moving at all. So might as well talk about that now. How do you do well within the raid? Well, there's seemingly two positions you can kind of take. One of them is if you are low CS, or even not, if you've just built a really good healer, do that. But if you are low CS, I would highly advise putting on at least 2 healing weapons and then using them, trying to make it so that when people start to lose health, that's when you use your healing abilities. Don't just spam it. Also, every single person, this is like the #1 rule, every raid would go significantly better if people valued their life more. Most people get annoyed by the fact that the health bar isn't going down enough, or they just want to keep doing more and more damage, fight for the top of the leaderboard of highest damage, even though these whales be carrying my guy. Anyways, so you fight and you do a little bit of dangerous stuff, you kind of try to perfectly iframe dodge, even though it's a laggy nightmare. All bad ideas. Play conservatively, because if you die, say you did amazing damage for the first 5 minutes that you're alive, the thing is going to go on for most times at least 10 minutes, and it can go on an hour. And the equation is the more people alive means the more damage usually that's being dealt. So often we're doing good damage, we're melting health bars, we're making a good pace, and then we lose half of our team because everyone's trying to get a lick in, and then we're just cratered, or we're like basically might as well like leave essentially, because our momentum just got crushed. So value your own life more. When you start getting low health, run the hell away, far the fuck away. Also, again, this is the importance of healers. There are going to be people who have high CS and go crazy for DPS, but ultimately, as long as everyone can stay alive, that means everyone can start doing even a marginable percentage of the boss's health bar, and therefore, the process will go faster. Again, I think when you lose half your team, it's like, okay, well, this just immediately took 60% more time to kill the boss. Don't do that. Play conservatively. Don't die. Healer is a great option for people who have low CS. Also, healers, try to equip this weapon right here. If you don't have it, it's awarded to you within the runes. Scan through it until you see it. Essentially, this allows you to put down this dome, which can protect you from this attack. Although every raid that I've been in, 50 people have these, and I've already put up a pyre for you, so yeah. But also, stay far away from it. Don't get really up on top of the pyre, because the AoE can get you, so just get yourself far as you can away. If you are playing a healer and you're low CS, try to make it so that the boss is never facing you. As soon as he does, get ready to basically sprint to the right or left, and try to get ready to dodge at the right time when he maybe lunges at you. Basically, keep him facing away from you. The minute that he looks towards you, just start running on to the right, and ideally don't run backwards, because then you're just going to drag the boss away from the DPSs and things like that. Also, you'll just die because he'll lunge right at you and kill you. Yeah. The other option is DPS. This tends to be whale territory or ranged character territory. There are a few ranged weapons in the game that actually do incredible damage. Samir, the bow girl, I forget her name, and yeah, and also Nemesis, all these things. So they do pretty good damage from afar. Try to play with them. Again, the best case scenario is that you live throughout the duration of the boss fight or raid so that you can do damage for the whole raid, rather than trying to do as much damage for all 2 minutes that you're alive and then you're gone, and then your team is basically at a huge loss where you could have provided so much more, even if it's just healing. again, staying alive is paramount and really, really good. This is also really nice for people who want to play tank as well, because you're just harder to kill. But ultimately, I've seen one tank maybe in the entirety that I played. So brutal. Anyway, so those are the things that you can do to help your team. Don't die, and ideally have a healing weapon that you can spike down, and yeah, also put down this tube so that your boss basically doesn't nuke you with the one ability that's actually undodgeable. It seems like it's just a guaranteed kill unless you have a way to block it or interrupt it. Yes, so that's best case scenario, what you can do. The first boss is not meant to be overly challenging. It's just kind of a damage check. He's pretty slow, but he does a shit ton of damage, so I think he's just kind of trying to check everyone and be like, okay, you're supposed to slow down. You're supposed to be careful, because if you die, you're done. It's not, you can't get revived. It's terrible. So try not to die, and try to throw down a healing weapon every now and again to protect your DPSs that are, maybe whales and are, going absolutely buck wild. And lastly, get used to loading into the thing, like I said, the raid, and checking and seeing if you're gonna deal damage. If it's nothing's happening, or if everyone got wiped into half, try to still hang in there for at least 5 minutes just to see. But it's also telling that, you know, if everyone dies in the first, or half of your team dies in the first little bit, you're gonna have to pick up for 5 people's worth of damage, and if you're already low CS, yee, not good. Just reset it. This is gonna be a hellscape that you're gonna be in for a little bit of time. Is it worth doing? Really quick, yes, absolutely, I think it is worth doing, especially considering this gold currency is not necessarily, like, not plentiful. When you get to the end game and you start doing wormhole and you grind a little bit farther in that, a little bit of bygone phantasm every week, and you do one raid, at least the minimum one raid, then you're able to buy a good bit of armor by doing that, specifically legendary gold armor. And for those guys who are unaware, that is going to be the forever metric that seemingly can be scaled and perfected. So matrices, you'll eventually, even though it's hard to believe right now, get a good copy of them and have them, and you'll just level them up and they'll be ready to rip. Armor is the thing that can have random stats and or random variables. So if you have a fire team and you roll fire on this one piece, which is incredibly rare to do, fire attack I mean, then you're gonna be good to go with that one piece. There's like 7 pieces to do that with, and that is absurdly hard to do, and there's always a better artifact. So this is the metric that you're always gonna need coming in, and this is something that's gonna kind of define, unfortunately, the end game, and you probably being able to push into raid 2 and 3 and things in the future that are yet to come. So this is something that is almost a requirement to be able to do the more end game things that are going to come down the pipeline. So this is absolutely worth doing. You can do this once a week. At least the first one I think is attainable for almost everybody. Just give it time. And again, worst case scenario, even if you're low CS and you have a bunch of healing and you're playing hyper conservatively and you're making people stay alive, you should be good to go. Now granted, I know every healer out there is yelling at me right now saying it's not my fault that the DPSs just won't come to me to heal. Literally, they're like, they have a death wish. They're like trying to iframe dodge and get this person in a slow effect despite they don't know that has a cooldown. Anyways, so then they're just getting smashed and they're playing stupid and they die, and then I'm like, well, what the fuck, I can't heal when you lose 80% of your health in a split second. It takes a little bit of time to build up, especially when the boss hits in a spiral, which hits you 3 times at once and nuking you. Yes, healers. I've been there. Clearly. This is also why you need to get good at rolling the dice. Jumping in, jumping out. This is something that may take you anywhere from 10 minutes to, of course, maybe half an hour, given people are being careful and not just, bull rushing the boss and getting killed. Honestly, the one determining factor that I think matters in this boss is staying alive. That is the one thing that is incredibly important. Also, the boss only has one kind of jump attack towards you, so you should be able to get away from him. Granted, I do have Samir, and I do play quite conservatively with the jump, and I'm in air, so I rarely get hit. But alas, before you leave me, if you want to know how you get stronger in Tower of Fantasy, check out this video right here. It's basically covering every kind of metric that you need to scale in order to get to the point where you can even participate in raids. My name is GRINN. Thank you so much for your time. Hope I can see you again, and goodbye.